Top of the morning. Yeah, sorry guys, I did a last minute change of topic. I don't know if I'm going to have as much time as I would like to dive into the aforementioned topic, so it's pushed off until next Wednesday. That being said, quick disclaimer. I'm not a medical professional. Nothing I say is intended as health advice. Any major change you make to your diet or any aspect of your lifestyle is something you should check with a medical professional before enacting in your real life. I'm also not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is a recommendation for an investment. I am a law-abiding citizen. Nothing I say is an admission of guilt. I am also, furthermore, an individual with my own opinions. Everything here is my own opinion. It has nothing to do with YouTube. They're simply the platform allowing me to communicate with you. And furthermore, what's up? What's happening? How you guys doing? Brenda, DMT, Marie, Ellen, good to see you all this morning. Yeah, been doing well. James Starlight, good to see you. It looks like this is Wiggs. Wow, we already got a great group going on. This is going to be awesome. Sammy's also available for comment. What's up, bud? Are you commentating? So yeah, we're here. We're in a new location. I've never really hung out here before. I found an awesome little town. Not going to say what it is at this exact moment, but because it's not that big, and I'm pretty sure, yeah. If you're from this area, you probably know exactly where I'm at, if I was to mention it. So, for the sake of keeping it low key, we'll talk about it another day. Sammy, it's okay, buddy. Sit. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Can you sit? No. That was enough. That was all the barking I needed. Thank you. You did so good. Sit. Hey, can you sit? Good boy. You're so good, bud. Well, thank you. Okay, that was enough. I don't need more. I'm going to put you in the car, buddy. It's cold anyways. You probably want to be in there. You guys, it was cold last night. It was 28 degrees over here. And, yeah, me and Sam froze our balls off. Yeah. So what was the other thing? Oh, yeah. So it's like I made some pretty awesome progress on the coffee journey, but today you guys get caffeinated brews. Here it is. Cheers. It just hits so much better when you're not addicted to it. Well, I don't know if I'm still not addicted to it, but when you're not, like when your tolerance is low, when it's been a while, it just hits differently, you guys. But thank you for finding value in my streams, you guys. I've also just a little more information regarding the streams. You know, I really enjoyed that really solid week that we had where we streamed every day. Like, that was awesome. Honestly, it added tremendous value to my own understanding. And, you know, I had a lot of realizations in answering your guys' questions during those streams. But it was so much that I feel like potentially my psyche got, it needed way more time to process than I was giving myself between streams to eventually catch up, and I eventually got overloaded. So not to say that we won't stream more than once a week, but for the time being, until I can adapt a workable regular schedule, just for the sake of, you know, the algorithm and whatnot, I'm going to try to stick to Wednesdays for now at 10. So this will be our official slot of the week, which is actually great because I'm really happy to see that we have a really strong group here right away as we're getting going. And so I think this is a good slot. This has been historically my heaviest traffic day across all networks. So I don't know what it is about hump day, but people just are, you know, more available today for Bruce. So that being said, what's up? What do you guys want to talk about? I don't really have a topic picked out, but we did have a little short stream. Well, I don't even know if it was short. I don't know how long it was, but we did have a little random stream last night on topics that were not necessarily fully rated for YouTube. So we did that on Instagram just to gauge and find out if Zuckerberg was, being real about his claim that they were gonna stop censorship, but I'm not buying it. I didn't have any traffic. So that being said, Ellen says, yes, it does hit differently. I stopped drinking coffee for 4 years, began drinking 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and it definitely hits differently. Definitely does. It definitely does. Like, I'm finding, like, for me, it's like about a week before my tolerance really, really comes down. And that's also like I would say, as long as I don't drink it 2 days in a row, then I won't be craving it still. Like, as long as I give myself like 1 week, and then even if I did every other day, I don't think that I necessarily like end up with the same. It doesn't invade my thoughts and stuff. Like, I can easily go about my day after the first week without like wanting coffee. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes like, so really it's like, I think it's honestly when, in retrospect of thinking about how everything is, I don't know that it's necessarily, maybe it's the chemical itself that messes you up. I'm not sure. But I honestly just think that it's just addiction in general. And, it doesn't really matter what you're addicted to. It's like, in my opinion, like, this is just a theory. I haven't proven it. I'm experimenting still. But, I just think that it's just thinking about, and anything that comes into your mind for no apparent reason, or that you don't feel right without it, that it's a substantial part of your joy or something, is something that's negative, and it's a demon that has to be defeated. Like, there's nothing that you should have to do every day. I mean, you could actually don't even need to drink water every day. And it's the single most substantial. The only thing you got to do every day is breathe. Like, you got to breathe. You got to breathe. It's the most important part, buddy. Like, we're air-based creatures. You know what I'm saying? We're primarily air and secondarily water. Earth is like a tertiary of our makeup, or should I say that we're actually primarily spirit-based creatures, secondarily water-based creatures, tertiary I don't know, would we be more, I guess, earth-based, and finally fire-based. So, we got some people coming in here. Welcome everybody else that just got here. What do you mean about my spiritual progress so far, HDMT? What would you? I'm more than willing to answer any questions about that. It's my favorite topic, but I would like to be a little bit more specific. And by the way, thank you so much for contributing to the shorts. I really appreciated that. I haven't taken a chance to look at them yet, but honestly, it's something that I'm personally super overwhelmed with doing. So any help there is so appreciated, you guys. Wednesday at 10 a.m. Your time, Pacific. Oh, you're on the West Coast as well. That's good. Makes it easy, right? Anna, welcome. Cannonball, welcome. Happy to see you here as well. This is such a good group. We got 23 people here, and like a ton of our core group, which is awesome. And it's great to see you all again too. I did miss you guys. I wanted to stream and connect, but it's just like I said, it's like that. I need a little detox time, and also I just need a little time to like basically digest everything else that we talked about. Like, it's like you know, you got to remember, like, for every answer that I question, I mean, every answer that every question that I'm able to answer, you know, like, we would never get anywhere if I suddenly started bringing up all the questions that arise in my own mind when that happens, when I'm answering your guys' questions. So this is why this is actually so valuable to me as well, and my own growth as well, because you all ask questions, and I think about them to answer them, right? Or I ask my intuition. But when I'm on my normal day-to-day basis, like, I'm usually have my phone off. Like, my phone stays in airplane mode and in a Faraday most of the time. I sometimes go days without even looking at it or picking it up. Like, I'm completely almost detached from this thing beyond our streams here. And it's a constant, you know, goal of mine to stay in silence as much as possible, and to also have as few thoughts as possible on my day-to-day basis. Like, I'm really trying to just, you know, be a blank and be present and be absorbed in whatever I'm doing and wherever I am. So honestly, I don't really have all these profound thoughts. Sorry, I guess that was a little egotistical, but I don't normally have all these, what are to me profound thoughts, not making assumptions for anyone else, without people asking me stuff. You know, when I'm on my day-to-day basis, I'm just like, inward. And there's just, you know, that doesn't have a dialogue. You know what I'm saying? It's like totally like sensation based. You know, like, I'm basically like just lushing out on my own chemicals most of the time. You know, like, especially, like, I've noticed that, like, the cleaner I am, like putting the coffee down, sadly going, we're grounding right now, you know what I'm saying? Coming back to earth to be able to talk for a minute. But but when I'm really clean, like I have been, you know, and I haven't smoked since the 9th or something, you know, and I was like already like weaning down quite a lot before that. So it's like I feel suddenly, you know, the first day will be rough, second day is kind of blah, but by the third day, I have this, I don't know, this like radiating feeling of like kind of like pleasure or warmth or contentment that just feels like it's like a bar just like coming all the way down from my brain into like basically like my belly button. You know what I mean? And I really honestly think that it's probably something to do with the vagus nerve, you know what I'm saying? But again, as I've mentioned before, knowing the science behind everything and whatever doesn't necessarily do anything for you. You know what I'm saying? You being like, okay, I want to do this, I want to activate this, or having some kind of dialogue about something in your head stops you from meditating. It stops you from doing anything. You have to be a total blank. There needs to be nothing going on inside your head, but you need to learn to control your awareness. So this is actually where we will go with this today. I think this is a valuable lesson for everybody. And it's something I brought up yesterday, and it's also something which most people won't tell you. You kind of got to go a little deep into the esoterics and stuff to kind of figure this out. Luckily, I figured, as with most things, I'm kind of like figuring stuff out myself. But when I find something that I figure out that works, almost in every case, I'm able to go into my esoteric library and find some kind of account of that. So it's like, I have this huge library. I've read so much little of it, but I'm extremely accurate in the things that I read because I'm able to directly locate things that are attached to an experience that I've already had. And that's basically been my basic process to unfolding this whole thing. Now, very important, so this is something that I actually found, this is something that I discovered in the video entitled Armpit Chakra Activation, which actually was a popular video. As weird as it says, you know, people feel weird about the word armpit, but you know, in further meditations, I realized that the armpits were an extension of the heart, you know, and I do feel that the hair in general is an interface from our nervous system. And that our armpits are actually like the antenna for our heart, facilitating the movement of energy from our torus field, right? So, you know, everybody's got a torus field, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, activating, well, for me, it was first the hand and feet chakra, or the hand chakras, then the foot chakras, and then eventually the armpit chakras. And I feel that that somehow facilitates everything. Now, that being said, here's the lesson that I think is so important for everybody regarding meditation. You guys on my head? Sam, come here. It's enough. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, my pal. You're so good. Basically, here's the thing. You can't think your way into an activation, okay? Like, I don't know, maybe somebody else can. I can't. I can't think my way to an activation. If I'm thinking about shit, like, it's just not happening. But you do have to bring your awareness. That's enough. You do have to bring your awareness to the area associated with that activation, right? So that's, again, what I talked about in the armpit chakra activation. Like, I was just thinking, like, oh, why is there hair in the armpits? It doesn't make sense. I was driving, I had my arms up, and suddenly I felt the activation. You know what I'm saying? It's a strong feeling, right? And so, so you have to bring your awareness there, but you have to do it without thought. You know what I'm saying? You got to feel it, if that makes sense. Be aware of that spot. Now, there's like a bunch of places. Like I said, I've done this with the arms. I have a way of doing it with the hands and feet, where I kind of like envision something, not thinking, but a visualization of climbing a mountain with no rope that's like extremely high, like free soloing, but also with attention on the hands and feet in the visualization. Obviously, like, you know what I'm saying, you're thinking about climbing, thinking about your hands and feet, thinking about where you're placing them, but you're not thinking in like words. You're not being like, I'm going to put my hand here, I'm going to put my hand here, I'm going to put my foot here. You're actively doing it. You're doing it in your mind, but you're doing it, right? And so it's the same with the main chakras. You know what I'm saying? And this is why, you know, like the whole Kegel, pelvic floor exercise and all that is important, and that it's included a lot in like yoga and so on and so forth. But there's another in the navel, you know what I'm saying, the solar plexus and the heart, of course. Now, for whatever reason, I personally find that it's a little bit more difficult to bring awareness without some type of like muscle or bodily movement attachment to the lower chakras. You know what I'm saying? Like Manipura, Swadhisthana, like Muladhara, like these lower chakras, the, you know, solar plexus, the sacral and the root. For some reason, I feel like you got to like kind of like flex something in that area so you have something to feel. That's just me. Could be different for other people. You know, for the heart, I feel that I need an emotional response. I bring my awareness to my emotion. I bring my awareness to my love, right? But for me, the easiest chakra to activate is my throat for some reason. I don't know. This has been, historically, it was a problem chakra. Now it's become kind of like my dominant, easy to activate chakra, right? Probably from streaming or whatever, but I can't really say. I'm not questioning it. So, but by just simply bringing my awareness to my throat, or, just bring it to my throat, I'm able to basically, just activate that super easily. And inherently, it also tends to give me a stronger connection to my heart, to where I don't necessarily have to try so hard to like tap into my emotions. It just kind of like activates, and then I can feel it. And once I can feel my heart glowing, it becomes very easy to bring awareness to it. So I don't know if that was helpful for anybody, or if that made any sense to anybody, because it's a little bit hard to explain things when you're trying to talk about things that require thought and awareness, or awareness without thought, and we're trying to verbalize something, which verbalizing something absolutely requires thought, and for most people doesn't require any awareness at all. But you know, that's pretty much what's up. So I'm gonna go back to the chat and see if you guys have any questions from there. I'm gonna have to go put this dog away real quick because he's super duper cold. Well, thank you for waiting for, Ellen says, I waited for a few weeks to see you. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. No mods? What do you mean? You're a mod. Yeah, where's Noi? That's a good question. Where is Noi? Well, you know what? What time is it? It's a different time than usual. It's probably late for Noi. Noi might be sleeping, you guys. I think that she usually stays up kind of late, even for the 9 a.m. streams, which has been like a major, influence on why I have been streaming earlier than what is, kind of comfortable for me. But, just because I've tried to maintain that 9 o'clock schedule, and I just don't know that I could do that. Yeah, anyways, the 10 a.m. just works. There's some part of my biology that kind of collides with the 9 a.m. thing, so I'll go ahead and spare you guys. But hey, bud, you ready to go back to the car? One second, guys. I gotta go put this dog in the car. He's cold, and he's interrupting our stream here. So one second. And James, I'm gonna get right to your question. Just a moment. One second, guys. Load it. Sorry, bud. I tried to include you. Sorry for shining this thing up my nose. So, Matthew Jennings says, have you fought the battle on the astral plane? That was the title of your previous stream. No, not yet. That was the title of this previous stream, but it was regarding the deep sadhana. If I'm even using I gotta stop trying to use Sanskrit words because I don't speak Sanskrit and it just sounds ridiculous. But I'm planning a silent 10 days, as I mentioned during that stream. But I can't go into battle on the astral plane without completely and totally vanquishing all addiction, 100%, even sugar. So I'm delaying that. I did get all my canning and prepping for that done. So I have enough food to last me a month in the wilderness, basically right now. And, I'm regardless of the fact that I am having my coffee to make this stream happen today. And appease my location that I'm streaming at because I need some Wi-Fi. I have been making major progress on that, but it's going slower than I think. And actually, I was kind of emotional at the time because I was in the early phases of that. But now that I'm coming out the other side, I realized that it should be something, I was in a rush for it before. I was kind of rushing towards some type of absolution for myself. But now I realize that will be a dangerous thing to do without absolutely, totally vanquishing the demons that are currently attached to me in the form of coffee and marijuana and sugar. So basically, no, I haven't fought my battle yet, but I am preparing for I've been working out for the battle, doing spiritual workout to prepare myself for victory, because let's just face it, if I lose that battle, you guys won't see me again. Yes, it is 1 a.m. at night and later, so sadly, Noy's asleep. I know, and I miss Noy too. I'll just reach out directly tomorrow to Noy. Will you retreat to the woods or go into isolation as you planned late December, or have you had enough of that already? Oh, I haven't started it yet. I will actually retreat possibly to the woods, but I'm also considering the desert now. I haven't really decided. It's super cold. It is cold in the desert at night as well. But there is, as much as I love the woods and the woods speak to me in a special way, it's dominated by the earth spirit. It's dominated by by earthly things like that. The desert, however, is a place of ascension. You know what I mean? The desert is a holy place of its own. You know what I'm saying? The woods is as well, but, and it is as above, so below. It's, these greater gods are all part of an even greater God, right? So, but when we're talking about the astral plane, I think the desert's a better option. So I might go to Tucson. I don't know. I haven't really decided yet, but that was super amazing place for me last time I was there. So, I still got time. I'm going to try to, and plus I took so much time off of streaming this last thing that by the time if I would have gone straight into sadhana from here without streaming a little bit in the meantime, like it would have been like, basically a death sentence for this channel. So we are going to have a few weeks of regular weekly streams. I'm just going to do the one a weeker so that I can do what I got to do and to prepare for this. And then I will forewarn you guys when I'm actually about to do that, which will be, again, at least 10 days, potentially longer. So Noise definitely like us. It's just late over there. She's got to sleep sometimes. She might end up, sometimes she comes in late too. So we'll see. She may still show up, but I will, I'll definitely follow up with Noi because she's a very intrinsic part of this group. So you guys don't worry about that. I will, yes, I will deal with that directly. Yes, she's got family. She's a busy woman. She's got a lot of stuff going on. We can't expect her to be here for every stream as much as we would love her to be. John Nodding says, are you staying in California now? Oh, wait, sorry. I didn't mean to skip you, Bobby. I will get to the California question. Bobby says, are you doing any regular workouts these days? I'm hiking. I go hiking all the time. It might be a little cold now. I was doing a lot of swimming for a while, like in the ocean. But yeah, it's starting to get freezing. But I am in California. John Noddings Jr. He says, are you staying in California? We know you make no plans, but really no plans for this year. Spiritual goals, a book, a podcast, a trip. just the sadhana. I mean, that's, I guess, me making plans, but I don't have a set date or a set amount of time that I'm going to do it. I just want to do a silent thing where I want to spend at least 10 days without us hearing or speaking or reading a single word. Like, I will literally tape over every piece of text in my on my stuff, and I've already canned, enough food to last me a month. I'll stock my water, and I'll probably be fasting as well, so potentially the food would last even longer. And that's the only thing that I really am kind of set on for the future, but it's not really necessarily the future because I'm actually in current actual preparation for it. Like, ever since the day that I did that stream was the day that I decided to do that, and I've been preparing for it ever since. So I don't know that it's necessarily considered the future. It's just a zoomed out present. It's taking a bigger picture, of the present, which is something that definitely should be accounted for when I say that I don't make plans. And if you decide to take that as some kind of piece of advice or something you want to try out in your own life, remember that it's okay to still zoom out and you want to take in the biggest picture possible. You really want to look at not only yourself, but your surroundings, your entire world, in fact, from the perspective of your higher self. Do you know what I'm saying? And if you can do that, then by taking in the bigger picture of everything, it's actually a bit, it's almost, it makes it seem like there's a plan, but you're just working with the energy. You're going with the flow. You know what I'm saying? But you definitely do still have to recognize when you're floating and when you're drowning, because when you're drowning, you got to swim. You know what I'm saying? So there's a balance to everything. But as far as spiritual goals, I have, aside from that aforementioned thing, which doesn't actually have any goal, real. I mean, I guess there's a goal. There's really no expectations. Like, obviously, I'm planning on going into battle with my ego. But again, I was feeling really low when I, decided that was a priority. And that was due to me falling back on drinking coffee and smoking weed. And that weakens you spiritually. And your addictions, any kind of addictions, weaken you spiritually. And then your ego and even possibly other, entities are able to basically flex up on you. You when you're addicted to something, you attract, spirits, or, I guess, I don't know. I don't like to use the word ghost, but I guess it's the best word. But you basically attract, the residual spirits of people who shared those addictions in life, when they were here, and that weren't able to detach from this world enough to get fully recycled. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you are addicted to things and attached to things in this world, it's harder for you to leave. And if you don't fully leave, you can't fully come back. You just kind of like stay in limbo. And so, you open yourself up to that. But then ultimately is like, there's the ego. Now, like, in the same way that all us humans are all attached and we're all part of the same highest self, right? The ego is all part of the same, all of our egos are part of the same demon as well, the most powerful of all demons, right? So when you go into battle against your own demon, you're going into battle against, you know, against a major entity. Now, it, of course, you know, it has a million different masks that it wears, and it'll even put on a different one for you personally, just so you think that you defeated it. But the truth is that the spiritual ego is even more dangerous than the, you know, than the original one, because it's a trickster. You know, it it allows you to ascend past the lowest level so that you become content, you know, and you don't go all the way. You never become actually powerful enough to defeat it, you know. It's, you know, the great deceiver, you know. It's well documented in many religions and whatnot, but I guess that would be the closest thing. Like I said, I'm not, you know, I'm going into it without a attachment to results. I'm just gonna do it. So I don't know. Maybe that's a spiritual goal. I'm not sure. A book. I'm not sure about the book thing. I definitely have been plotting on doing a book, but honestly, I have so much things that I want to do, and I don't know. It's the book thing will be a big step for me in the future, because eventually I want to cut the cord with the internet altogether. And I still will like to share what I learn and so on and so forth. But the book thing is, we're not in a rush for the book thing, because the book thing is going to be kind of like a goodbye from me. You know, it'll be the solution to this. But for now, it's regarding a podcast. This is probably as close to a podcast as I'm currently interested in doing. I really want to, you know, I want to see what we've already done get to the greater portion of the population. I don't know that I've never found anyone else that's ever, you know, had the circumstances to be able to do something like this. And, you know, I didn't plan any of this. I was not streaming or active at all. I just, you know, when that, you know, you'll see that it says October 12th stream recording or whatever on my channels page. Well, it was September 11th when I, you know, seen the light. So I gave myself basically like a month to think about that before I decided to talk about it. And then it just kind of like snowballed from there, because people were interested. I don't even know if they were interested in what I was saying directly, because I think I was still being like a little bit mysterious at that moment. But I think that people did recognize an immediate change in my personality. And so for that reason, it became kind of just like a phenomenon where I kept streaming. And at that time, again, when I first started, you know, after I seen the light, all I wanted to know, and I was kind of obsessed with, was, can I do that again? Like, can I connect to that thing again, right? And so I was super dedicated. I was fasting. I was doing all the stuff. And, you know, I didn't connect to the same exact thing, but I connected to something else that was a different aspect of something even bigger. Or not bigger, but, you know, all part of the whole, right? And, you know, it's tempting to say bigger because I felt very big at the moment. But, you know, and then from that, obviously, you guys know the whole story. It like kept going. So, but the moral of the story is that the stream and the whole live, you know, step by step, watching the process happen kind of a thing, is just something that I think was unique. You know, I'm sure there are people that have, I'm positive of it, that there's probably people that have advanced further than me. I've actually been reading a book from a guy that had a lot of the same experience as me, but he's also had other experiences, like remembering all of his past lives, which is basically like it's that God level experience, like looking through everyone's eyes simultaneously, but to remember every moment of every day of every life, that's like, I mean, you can't get more wisdom than that, right? So I do believe that there's further steps to be obtained, and that there are people who have gone further than me on this journey, but there aren't people that have done it live on camera, to my knowledge. You know, as close to live on camera as possible. So, you know, as far as my dharma, which is like your life's purpose, I feel heavily attached to these streams, and not necessarily to the continued growth or, you know, the continued streams, but I think that what we've already captured in these streams is something historical, you know, and I hope that in the future, you know, that it's, you know, something that, I don't know, it's something for people, you know, and so that's just kind of where my head's at with it, you know, and honestly, you guys are a big part of it, because if you wouldn't have responded the way that you're responding, if you wouldn't have become interested in the way that you're interested, if you guys wouldn't have asked the questions that you ask, I would have lost interest in this in 2 seconds and you wouldn't be hearing from me. So realize that you guys, whatever is going to happen in the future, as much as I'm staying in the moment, you guys are moving this. You know what I'm saying? You guys are the ones guiding it. Like, in the same sense that we're all part of the same, you guys are part of the greater body that is making this happen. So realize that. A trip, I'm on a trip right now. Actually, I'm always on a trip. I'm tripping. So yeah, I don't really have any trips to my knowledge planned. You know, I would, of course, you know, if suddenly like my $15,000 goal to go to India got suddenly taken care of, I would probably bomb off to India, but I'll wait till the GoFundMe gets completed to do all that. So I'm going back to the chat. Hope that answered your question. John Noddings Jr., thank you for joining us. It's great to have you here. Sleep Scorpio, good to see you, good to see you. Happy to have you here as well. Trolley Boy, what do I think about the fires? I hope I am safe. I think the fires are totally unnatural. I think that it's really weird because there's been so many fires in California. I've never been present for any of them. It's like if I leave and then the fucking city catches on fire every time. Yeah, I got super lucky there. I even almost went back to LA, and then circumstances just unfolded in the most ridiculous way, which I'll spare you guys. And it shut me down. Like, it's just like the universe was not letting me go there. So, yeah, I've totally circumnavigated that whole disaster. I don't think that they're natural at all. I think it's super, I mean, now San Diego just caught a fire right next to the military base, and their fucking radar was down and burned down and all this shit. Like, it's, you know, we're in the middle of World War III, you guys. It's just a new age warfare, you know, and even worse than that is, you know, this is like a cycle. You got to realize, like, this is like how everything comes, and we're coming to, you know, it's do you think it's a coincidence that we're at Generation Z and all of a sudden the world's burning down around us? No. They plan this in cycles. It goes A to Z, and then they wipe everything. And this might be one of the last big cycles, you know, like they did the baby boom on purpose, but then obviously they, you know, have to circle back around. And they accomplished what they wanted to accomplish, which was to get all the AI and the robots and all that going so that they don't have to keep maintaining such a huge population on the earth. Now that we have robots on all that, they want to get back down to the 500K or, you know, sub-billion people on the planet. And as long as, you know, solar flare or some kind of war or something like that doesn't lose the technology for the robotics and the AI and all that, they'll keep the population super low like that. You know, in fact, I think that the jab had a lot to do with that. And, you know, like if you research something called a gene drive, it's a technique that they've used against like rodents in certain places. They use it against mosquitoes in certain places with like dengue and stuff. But basically, if you alter the genome of a sperm, then the alterations, you can make an alteration in that sperm that is not just a gene alteration, but a dominant gene alteration, meaning that it will pass to your offspring and most of their offspring after that for the remainder of until that bloodline dies out. And so it's just a theory, of course, but I do believe that our population has been seeded with the gene drive for infertility as well. So, you know, that's not something that just stops at the people that were originally affected. That's something that goes on for another generation so that it can spread to as much as possible. And then there's a sudden, dramatic, and almost totalitarian crash at some point to the population. You can look it up. Look up gene drive rats on island or something like that on Google. You'll probably find a good example of that, or gene drive mosquitoes, dengue fever, something like that. And that will be probably supportive of what I just said. Leffy Power, welcome. That is so good. So many, this is such a good group. Today is the day. I'm so happy. So happy about this group. It's good. I wish Noi was here. Oh, there's Noi. There you are. That's manifestation for you guys. I wasn't even scrolled down yet. I just I said that. I scrolled one and it was like, hello, everyone. What's up, Noi? I'm happy you made it. Ellen Simon says, I had never heard of armpit chakra, learning something new today. I never heard of it either, but I just know what an activation feels like. And again, it was such a great discovery because all I was doing was just being kind of pondering on my armpits. And then, yeah, I don't know. I was just had attention to them. I was just what can I feel here? And boom, they just lit up. You know, and I found that I can actually do that pretty easily, and that by doing that, it actually does kind of do the same thing like the throat does, and it gives the adjacent activation in the heart, which happens in a lot of things. You know, for example, Manipura is really interesting because it attaches to it attaches strong to the heart and the sacral, but it can actually reach to the root and throat and as well. So it's and it empowers all those to become more strong. Now, I'm still scared of that chakra. Ever since the Manipura thing, you know, there's a video on there if you guys want to watch it, but you know, I've talked about that experience a lot, and I haven't played with that, I haven't, you know, worked with that chakra really a lot since because I'm a little scared of it, to be honest. I'm I don't know, I need to control myself better. It's you know, sometimes I'm tempted to throw a lightning bolt again or something, but I'm yeah, you know, I don't want to do that. We'll save that for emergencies. Wig says, interesting that you say about the underarms, Bruce. They are one of the most sensitive areas of the body. Being hit in the pit is very painful. That's interesting. It also has a lot of lymph nodes. Now, we can also go into, so another theory that I had, so I've been, you know, I have researched some stuff about breathing techniques and, you know, pranayama. I know I said I'm going to stop using all the Sanskrit words, but there's no other words for this stuff. You know, there's a lot of lymph nodes and stuff in the armpits and, you know, whatnot, but the, fuck, I might have to go to the car and lose my little setting right here. It's gonna be fucking cold. It's 28 degrees here last night. Anyways, so what I was saying is, you know, there is, something in Taoist esoterics called I think it's the microcosmic, or it could be the macro. I think it's the microcosmic orbit, they call it, right? And so this is a breathing technique, you know, basically like the stomach breathing thing, but, you know, what it's, you know, and again, I know that the anatomy of everything is just distracting, but I'll still, for the sake of the content, explain my theory is that, you know, the lymphatic system is powered by, you know, pressure. It's a series of one-way gates. There's no pump like your heart for your, you know, blood system, for your circulatory system, but your lymphatic system is powered by your muscles, by movement, you know, and a lot of spiritual things happen while walking, for example. Walking pumps lymphatic fluid, but so does breathing, okay? Especially in the abdominal cavity, is my theory. So I think that by doing this heavy, you know, stomach breathing motion, that you're circulating the lymph in your abdominal, around your lungs, you know, in the lymphatic, you know, system there. And I think that, you know, as they say, there's way more chakras than 7. There's all kinds of minor chakras. I think that there actually should be 3 classification of chakras, because I think that things like the hands and feet and even armpits are kind of more like in the middle, not necessarily minor, but not as great as, you know, the main 5 or 7, depending on what system that you are going by or what you feel. You know, like for me, I've always felt the throat and heart heavily connected. You know, I don't really have one without the other activate, and same with the sacral and the root. But so I kind of think of those as like a single center with like 2 separate functions. But obviously there's, you know, different glands and organs involved, but the you know, the nerve plexus attached to those, I believe, must be shared or something. So, you know, I think that the lymph nodes are basically like minor chakras. And so I think that by circulating lymph, that you're better able to activate those. Good to see you, Noah. Thank you for making it. What foods do I like to cook? Well, lately I've just been, you know, I don't like to really promote my diet, because I don't really like to encourage people to whatever, but like honestly, like I'm eating a really bland diet lately. Like, not bland, but like I basically have just been canning, and it's like my new method on the road is really good. It also doesn't require refrigeration and stuff. So I've been doing a lot of like pressure canning and just making like, yeah, like, you know, stews kind of, minus the vegetables. I do peppers. I do a lot of peppers. For something I don't know if it's an addiction. I'm trying to decide if peppers are an addiction or not, because they make me feel so good. And it definitely is not like it's like the feeling that it gives me, like if anything, I feel that it enhances my inner well-being. I don't know. It seems like it helps my digestion as well, but I don't know. I guess, you know, coffee seems like that as well too. And so, but I haven't noticed any like negative spiritual effects from the peppers. I'm really super interested in learning to cook Indian food, which I think also will translate well into the canning thing. That could just be a theory. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but you know, since it's like a lot of stuff that like sits in like a sauce and soaks and actually gets way better the longer that it soaks, I do feel that it might be really good for canning. So I'm kind of interested in, I've been enhancing my spice cabinet lately to, instead of just little shakers of spices, I've been like buying it by the pound. And so I'm like kind of like building up my spice cabinet right now to dive into the you know, Indian food stuff. See, I told you guys, sometimes she comes in late. She wakes up for us. I know my people, you guys. Come on. What's up, Rishi from India? Welcome. Thank you so much. You guys, honestly, big shout out to, I want to give a shout out to my, not just my new people, which, by the way, thank you, my new people. I'm happy to have you here. But I want to give a shout out to, well, it's not necessarily, India is not a new country for me, but they have, in the last month, they've gone from, you know, they've been historically my second place viewership on this channel throughout almost the entire thing. But in the last month, 28 days, on the 28-day analytics, India has tripled, has not only passed the United States, but tripled it in viewership, which is amazing. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that it's in a positive light. And that I'm not, you know, I'm not super, you know, sometimes I think I use my terminology probably wrong and this, that, and the other, but it's all with the utmost respect. And I appreciate what you guys have left for the world regarding yoga. And other things as well, but definitely the food and yoga. But the, and also another shout out to Vietnam. Thank you to my Vietnam viewers who have surpassed everybody on Instagram and become the main Instagram viewers, and also risen to, I don't know, like third in the last 28 days on viewership. So that's been super nice as well. So thank you all to the new people that have joined. You've been awake since 2 a.m. You don't sleep well? Yeah, sometimes it's like that, but you got to, you know, you got to try to get that sleep, you know. You know, for me, I find that I sleep the best. You know, it doesn't work on day one, but in general, if you don't, like, if you got windows and stuff like that, like, leave your curtains and stuff fully open so that the sunlight can wake you up in the morning. And you'll find, or at least for me, I find that regulates my sleep like extremely well, and I end up sleeping much better the next night if I wake up to the sun. So I don't use any kind of like curtains or anything. Like, I want to make sure that I just get blasted with the sun as soon as it comes in. And that has been like a major factor in me sleeping not just twice as good, but like 10 times as good. Trolley boy, do I visit my family often? No, not really. I mean, I guess kind of often. It really depends on like what you consider often. Not really that much, so much, you know. Yeah, I would love to have you know, have that, but you know, I mean, you guys are family too, you know. I think of you all as family as well. So I see you guys more often probably than my blood family, but you know, I feel as connected to everybody as I do to the people of that share my genetics. I don't really like, I don't know. I feel a part of everybody. So it just is what it is, I guess. John Donnie Jr. says, are you a risk taker? You seem pretty chill. It's like adventures just find you. Well, I was a gambler for a long time. Most people don't know that about me, but like throughout, ever since like my second year in the adult business, all the way to, I guess, I went from like the second year in the business, which would have been 2012, all the way to whenever I turned 30, which was 9 years ago. As a professional gambler, I took a catastrophic loss, moved to Europe, didn't gamble for a while, and then I started again during the pandemic, or a little bit right before the pandemic, and and then I got into the trading and stuff during the pandemic. And yeah, I mean, I have. I had a chairman's card at the station casinos, so I would say yes, I'm a risk taker. But it's just that money, like, it's an abstract concept to me. I realize that the value of it changes on a day-to-day basis, and that there's no guarantee that it'll ever maintain value for all time in the future. And matter of fact, it definitely won't. So, as risky as that would probably seem to most people to gamble millions of dollars, I am desensitized to it. So it doesn't really hit the same way. But yeah, I would say I'm a risk taker. I mean, I'm very chill, but the thing is you can do both. Like, as a matter of fact, you should do both. Like, you shouldn't. I mean, in my opinion, like, I don't want to take risks if I'm not chill, because I'm gonna make bad decisions at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as I stay chill, no matter what, then I know I'm doing the right thing. As long as I even am, if I'm 51% is an advantage. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how casinos operate, is off like a 2 to 5% or 1.5 to 5% edge. That's all it is. So yeah, I mean, I try to. I'm a super risk taker because my philosophy was originally, before I was ever spiritual, and probably a big part of the reason why I got here was my original philosophy was based upon gambling. But it was like, at some point I realized that everything I knew about odds and gambling, and concepts like implied value and things like that, which is a topic for another day, I started applying that to my real life. It's just that you have to learn to see the world like Matrix style, you know what I mean? You got to see the fucking numbers everywhere. You got to see the odds. And so, in the casino, the house always wins over the course of eternity. So I always say, when you go to a casino and you're being a gambler, you know what I'm saying, you're actually just trying to be like a time traveler. That's what I think of it. It's like, when I'm at the casino playing craps or something, I'm a time traveler. Or not even a time traveler, but a time, I'm trying to be the master of time. Like, I'm trying to stretch the graph, you know what I'm saying? So that my, not only my session, but like my year, and possibly even multiple years, can fit into a single uphill part of the descending graph. You know what I'm saying? If you just go and have no strategy or whatever, you're just, you're a victim to, or possibly, a winner, I guess, to the deviation, the standard of deviation. But like, by lowering your standard of deviation, so you got more of like a, rolling waves, and you know how to skew that properly, then you can create a situation where the upslope can be a very long time. And if you understand the power of not only exponential growth, but compound interest, that slope can be quite big, can contain quite a lot of growth. So, but that's also that's something that's even better applied to life, where you don't automatically have losing odds over the course of eternity. I mean, I guess you kind of do if you want to believe that, death and taxes are unavoidable, but I don't believe either one of those things. so, from where I'm sitting, I think that, that strategy works really nice in real life, and it allows me to, as I mentioned yesterday in my Instagram stream, to stay in the moment and be confident that I'm on a trajectory that's going to land me in the best place possible. Now, I don't know when I'm going to land there, but I can continue with my life, having faith that it'll happen, and I can just try to stay in the moment, choosing from my odds as they come at me. I just have to be able to see them and understand them, because there's no set amounts to everything. You have to see the not only intrinsic value, but the extrinsic value, the implied odds, not just the set odds, but the implied odds, right? So, yeah, that's something. Noah Ibrahim said, how's your fasting progress? Sorry I missed a lot. I was like, I mean, I don't know about progress, but like I'm like at a point now where I don't eat every day. Like there's never like a week that I don't fast, at least from solid food a couple days, but I haven't set any new benchmarks, if that's what you mean. So I don't know if it's progress. I've in fact like stabilized my fasting schedule to the point that, what most people would consider a fast is just like my normal schedule. Like I've stretched out, my meals to be long between ones. I eat at the most like one meal a day, but I don't eat every day. So I definitely am still trying to, I have not completed my original goal of 4 days dry fasting. It's still a major, that I guess it would be one of the goals that I have. I guess you could say that that's a future plan, but I don't have like, for me, it's a lifestyle. So it's not necessarily something that I consider like a future plan. It's like always a goal, but I don't necessarily know when that will happen. You know what I'm saying? Bobby Rubin says, do you ever feel bored? Have you ever felt bored since you moved away from the business in LA? Bored. Okay, not usually, but when usually it takes me like about a week when I'm not drinking coffee and not smoking and waking up super early and all this stuff, to figure out what to do with all the extra hours. Like, I don't know how it is for other people, but when you rarely eat or just only eat one meal a day and you have no vices at all, you have so much more time in your day. You have so much more time in your day. Now, for me, I can spend fucking hours just meditating or walking or in thought or even pacing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm inward a lot and I can burn time like you wouldn't even fucking believe. Like, I'll just blink and all of a sudden I'm like, fuck, the day's gone. Everything I was planning on doing today was just, I forgot about it. I was in my head, but yeah, when I first drop all the things, I always kind of feel, I don't know, bored is the word, but I'm just like, what do I do with all this time? I have so much. I was like, and yeah, that's kind of like a thing. But especially since I don't really like hang out with anybody in person. I don't really rarely see people, though I did I did meet with one of my old buddies when I was in Vegas recently, which was really cool to connect with somebody that I hadn't seen in a couple years. But yeah, I don't know. I do get like the boredom thing is real, but like, you know, you just have to redivert that energy. It takes a minute to figure out what to do with it, but eventually you figure it out. That's just, I'm not, you know, saying that necessarily applies to you, but how has having Sam in my life changed you? I think you are a very responsible dog owner. When and why did you decide to get a dog in the first place? As someone who values freedom and independence. That's a good question. You know, I didn't get. I had a dog a long time ago that was like I loved it so much that when I lost it, I could never. It took a decade or more to recover from that. Like I could still pull tears out right now if I wanted to act and cry. I could just think about my dog, my first dog. But you know, I was living in Vegas. I had like a kind of a bigger property out there, you know, a few years ago, and there was this girl that lived with me, and one day she was like, the cat got out and she was like trying to get the cat, and some random guy like seen her out there and like must have thought that whatever. But anyways, we had this like courtyard in front of my house that was like a blind spot, and it didn't have a gate, and so she was going to go in through the front, and this guy like ran in there and like cornered her in there, and I don't know what he was trying to do, but I heard her scream. Well, I have a feeling what he was trying to do. And then I came out and he started acting like he was a door-to-door salesman of some sort, trying to sell me some window cleaner. And basically we got into it, and you know, he was basically like, so many words was saying that they were gonna fucking come rob our house if we didn't give him money. And so I just told him to fucking piss off before we fucking paint the walls with him. And that day I was like, you know what? This wouldn't have happened if I had a dog. And so I went on Craigslist, and I honestly think that I manifested Sam, because I went on Craigslist, the first link that I opened, I seen Sam and I was like, that looks like an intimidating dog. So I was like, that dog will do just fine, right? But the photo was like super shitty. It was like grainy. I couldn't really see all of his markings and stuff. Well, I get there and he's like a super sized version of the dog that I had, my first dog in high school that I loved so much. It was a female. Sam's, you know, 20 pounds bigger, but he's got the same exact markings almost. Like the same 4 white socks, the same tricolor face, the same tip of the tail. The only variation really in markings is that he has the freckles and the roan underside, like the mottled, you know, roan thing. And he's got a tiny little dot on the back of the head where and strangely enough, my other dog, Bruce, had a little heart in that same spot on the back of his head. So I seen him and I was like, yeah, done, you know. And I was like, he's cool in the car, and the guy was like, he liked car. So you know, I went through him in the Camaro, and that was history. And yeah, I feel like, you know, it was just like totally manifested him. He was, you know, I even have thought that it was like, you know, I had puppies at one point with my dogs, and there was 10 of them. You know, it's totally possible that the bloodline came back to me, because like I said, he looks just like my dog, and the only variation is the spot in the same spot as my other dog. So that's how I ended up with the dog. And then when you know, at some point I realized that this person that I was living with was a negative part of my life, and I finally got away from that, and And obviously I wasn't going to leave the dog with somebody that I felt was irresponsible, toxic, and, you know, a variety of other undesirable attributes, none of which made me feel like they were capable of taking care of an animal. In fact, I witnessed things personally that indicated to me that they definitely weren't good at taking care of animals. And actually, it was that realization that finally gave me the you know, push that I needed to make a permanent solution to that problem in my life. And that led to where we are at now, because I think that getting away from that person was a huge part of the breaking point that led to my liberation, you know. So but how has has my life changed? I mean, well, the thing is, like, you know, I've been nomadic like multiple times in my life. You know, I lived on 2 separate occasions. I lived at the Marriott for 10 months, not the same Marriott, but just like at the chain of Marriotts. I've done that all over the world. And now that's just, on those, I also have a full year of Airbnb rentals, historically, like on my Airbnb account, you know, and I've been on like hundreds of flights, like probably like 300 or 400 flights. So I've definitely lived nomadically before, but I always did it by airplane, hotel, and Airbnb. Or yeah, exactly, whatever. But you know, obviously that doesn't work so much with the dog, and I'm not the type of person that's gonna like make you know, bring a dog into my life and then, you know, not see it through, because, you know, just through circumstances that happened to me with my dog Bruce, because I went to prison or whatever, and it's just not something I ever would repeat. I think that's part of my karmatic debt to do this. So I have adapted my life to include Sam, and we're now nomadic people again, and we're traveling nonstop, and we're just doing it van lifestyle. So and that's honestly been a pretty cool experience. Like, you know, I don't know that I could have done it before because I was a little bit high maintenance comparatively, but, you know, my personal liberation has also increased my tolerance for discomfort to the point that I don't feel uncomfortable in situations that would make most people, and even myself in the past, uncomfortable. And because of that, I'm now getting to see a lot more natural locations, really cool natural locations. And, you know, I grew up in California, and even in LA, for example, you know, I wasn't really that into the hiking. It was something I was really into in high school when I had dogs. So naturally, when I brought Sam into my life, I started hiking again, because that's what I used to always love to do with my dogs. And yeah, now I've been able to go see so many natural locations and stuff all over all over the Midwest, that, or all over the West Coast, and, you know, whatever, that I never seen before and probably wouldn't have ever seen, because I was always going to cities and places that had like major airports and, you know, Marriott hotels, and so I could be part of my chain and blah, 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 blah. So how has Sam changed my life? Like, fuck, every way possible. But he also keeps, you know, he's great security, you know, like, I have no doubt I got backup at any moment if I need it. Don't even have to ask. He will volunteer happily. And, you know, yeah, it's good to have he's a good alarm. He's a good indicator. He's a good vibe checker. You know, if Sam says no bueno, I got nothing for you. Sorry, can't do it. He's my aura sniffer. So, anyways, you guys, thank you so much, Noy, for the donation. Fuck, my car's about to, or my phone's about to die. Let me run to the car. Let's take this to the car, you guys. I gotta get the charger, and I'm freezing ass cold, so I want to run the car anyways and get some stuff going on. It was 28 degrees here last night. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like on my way to another location that was supposed to be warmer, and I didn't make it all the way because scoot over, buddy. Oof. I didn't make it all the way because, well, as silly as it is, I was following the signs. I was getting 33s and 45s like crazy, so I was like, you know what? It's telling me to stay here. And here we are. We got a great group today on the stream, so I think it's working out. And honestly, I'm like super interested in this town. I never really like checked it out. It's just such a random place, but it's like fucking lovely. I love this. This is like such a cool town. If it wasn't freezing ass cold, I'd fucking probably stay here right now, but I gotta take my ass to the ocean where it's a little warmer. Oh yeah, gotta turn the car on and get some charging action and some heater action. Woo! Damn, I'm like, my hands are stiff. All right. We're plugged in. We got heater. Oh, what's the book? You know, I haven't gotten, okay, so I've only gotten 100 pages or something into it, to be honest, but so I can't speak on the whole book, which I usually try to finish a book before I recommend it. But in this case, just because honestly, like even in only 100 pages, like the guy has completely and totally convinced me of his legitimacy, just because like a lot of his experiences have been very much similar to mine. I can't remember the name of the author, but it's called Merging with Shiva. And it's a book that I went and found, you know, like whenever I have like a big experience, I usually try to find some information to see if there's anything documented about anything like that. And so I went to this used bookstore that I go to that has yielded a lot of really good stuff for me in LA, called David K Books. If anyone's in LA and wants to go check out Dave. Anyways, long story short, yeah, I was looking for something about Shiva because all of a sudden, like, you know, after I had that whole experience with the whole Earth Star Shakti thing, I still don't really know how these words like came into my mind, because I wasn't really, it wasn't part of my vocabulary until I had that experience. And then suddenly I was just like looking at the ocean. I was like, oh my God, it's Shakti. And I think that it's like a past life regression. Like possibly I was a yogi or something in a past life. And so that terminology like came back to me. And then that led me to go find information about Shiva. I found this book called Merging with Shiva, which was spot on with what I felt like I was experiencing, because you know, in that experience I also like unlocked some kind of crazy yoga skills. Like I'm doing like did yoga to the point that I like broke myself, like, and I didn't even know how to do any kind of yoga at the time. It's just like all of a sudden I was like, bam, I know, like I like got it like deeply all of a sudden. So it was like a really weird experience. But yeah, it's called Merging with Shiva, and it's something, I forgot the guy's name. I'll have to look. I don't really want to dig it out right now, but I'm sure there's only one. I think his name is like Satguru Shivaya something. I don't know. I can't really remember. Raphael, that's a good question. So Raphael says, at this point, how do you assess the upsides and downsides of your past weed habit? What's your conclusion? It always made me numb and dysfunctional. Yes. Numb and dysfunctional is correct. You know, I think that it's the kind of thing that maybe it can be utilized in some way, maybe, you know, as far as like upsides and downsides. I guess the really only upside is that it puts you in contact with your cannabinoid system, so that you know what it feels like to have cannabinoids in your system. But your body, you know, and it also obviously like increases the amount of well, I imagine it increases the amount of cannabinoid receptors in your body as well. But the thing is that the body balances. So this is just obviously my theory or whatever, but I think it's a pretty accurate one. I'm pretty in touch with my body in this way, and I've smoked for a long time, and I've also you know, I've looked for every different way. You know, my ego has convinced me to try everything, right? And so you know, regarding this addiction, and so in doing that, you know, I've tested different periods of time and blah blah blah, all different kinds of things, which still brought me to the same conclusion, but in like the same way. Like, imagine like a man, maybe you're familiar with this concept. Like, I've never done steroids, and part of the reason why is because I'm aware that it shuts down your natural production, and I never wanted to damage my natural system, for example. So it's like you add testosterone to your body extra generously, and what happens? Your nuts shrivel up, right? And that happens because they're no longer producing testosterone, so they don't really have a need or use, right? But if you stop long enough, eventually they'll come back, they'll plump up, and your body will start producing testosterone again, right? Well, it's the same with cannabis, okay? But like cannabinoids, the reason why we have cannabinoid receptors in our brain is not because we're supposed to smoke weed. It's not because we've been smoking weed since we were cavemen or something. It's because we ourselves as humans produce the same chemicals in the same way that some plants produce serotonin. Some plants, you know, produce all kinds of things that are within our own bodies. We also produce some of the same things which are in plants. And so there's a crossover. They work on us in the same, you know what I'm saying, in the same way that our own chemicals do. You know what I'm saying? Like phytoestrogen, or for example, is a popular one, you know, when they talk about the soy boys and all that. You know what I'm saying? It's a plant estrogen, but it still affects us, right? Well, same with cannabis. You know what I'm saying? Like, your body can produce cannabinoids, stronger cannabinoids, because they're human-specific cannabinoids within the brain itself. Or I don't know, it's from the brain, but within the body. Okay? And if you're smoking, especially regularly, you're shutting down production of that. And this is one of your major like spiritual like chemicals. It's part of your spiritual physiology. You know, it's there with the DMT, and there's probably other things as well that maybe are not talked about or not known about, or go by some kind of other name, because maybe it has such a short half-life and happens so rarely that nobody has ever isolated it or tested it, right? You know what I'm saying? If something, like for example, let's say ghrelin analog peptide, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you were to inject yourself with a ghrelin analog peptide extra generously, you would be like unfathomably hungry in about 2 seconds, even if you just ate a whole pizza, right? So, fuck, where was I going with the ghrelin thing? Oh yeah, but while you be hungry for hours from that analog, or from that peptide, the actual peptide itself will only stay present in your blood. It only has like a fucking, I don't know, like a 15-minute half-life or something. It's gone in 15 minutes. Now, when you're talking about spiritual chemicals and things like that, it's like it can be the same. Like it can release, it can have its effect, but like it could have a short half-life and be gone in a couple seconds, but the effect of it can still go on, because that's the way the body works, is like there's triggers for things, and the triggers cause something to happen, but the trigger is not necessarily the thing that's happening. Do you know what I'm saying? It just triggered it. And so definitely smoking weed regularly is a total spiritual killer, because you're damaging your endocrine system, your cannabinoid, which is part of your endocrine system, your cannabinoid system. So you're stopping your production. Now, what's the upside to it is that at least you know what it feels like. You know what I'm saying? So that if you are able to rehabilitate that system, get it working again, or maybe you were never addicted to cannabis to begin with and you just did it once or twice to know what it feels like, again, it doesn't, working with your body's parasympathetic nervous system, it's your subconscious system or whatever. Most people can't control it at all, but as I explained earlier, is that you got to bring attention to things. You don't think about things like with words and your ego in your head, right? So knowing what something feels like is like a big break. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody who's never had a heart activation is going to bang their head against the wall and be doing all kinds of shit trying to activate their heart. It'll take them, it's not easy to figure out. But once it's happened, even if, hey buddy, good boy, chill. Good boy, sit. That was so good. And so, I forgot the dog reset my brain. So, but anyways, the system's not, it's just it's unconscious for most people, but once you learn how to make it conscious, it's different, but you need to know by having the sensation. So it's like, once our heart is activated, it's such a big feeling, it's so specific that it's so much easier to do it again consciously in the future, because you know exactly what it feels like. Like, it's not in your real heart, for example. At least not for me. Like, if I want to act, when I have a heart activation, it's like above my heart, at the very top of my heart. It's like right here. This is where I feel it, right? So, I don't know if this will help anybody, but like, if I'm like thinking about my beating heart, I'm not going to get an activation. But like, if I bring my attention here above my heart, like I've thought about it in scientific ways as well, against my own, advice. And I don't know, if you see pictures of the heart, you'll see there's like some kind of cap on top. Like, I don't know, it's fat or something. I don't know what. But that's more like, I think, has something to do with it. Because like, when I feel my heart activate, it's here. Versus if I feel my heart beat, it's lower. It's more close to my like solar plexus. Versus like Manipura activation, like I had like it here, lower. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's confusing, but you got to know where it's at to bring awareness to it. Maybe it's different in other people, I don't know, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you being, associating heart with heart chakra is confusing, because like, if I bring my attention here, I'm not going to get anything. If I bring my attention here, I'll get an activation. So it's just the same thing with weed. You want to bring that, which I think has something to do with like your third eye, probably a big part of the reason which I'm struggling so much with Rudra Granthi. Like, I've gotten really in touch with all my chakras up to my throat. I've had major major third eye experiences, and I even do believe that my very first experience was a total activation of all the chakras, including the crown. But I've not been able to control this or this or this in the same way that I can, work with these. You know what I'm saying? And that's because I don't have, I think that it's partially because my system is damaged from smoking weed. Now, I know that I do believe that it can be repaired, it can be healed, but I think that it could take a long time. And I think that fasting and things like that goes into a lot of it. And then also you need like the precursors and stuff to actually make the chemicals. Like, for example, you know, like if your diet is completely devoid of tryptamine, or tryptophan, then you're probably not going to be able to make dimethyltryptamine in your brain, right? So you got to also, as far as the scientific and physical part of it all, you do have to give your body the ingredients that it needs, to create things and to work with things. And so maybe there is a little bit of biology and stuff there. Now, do I think that the scientists know it all, and do I think that the things that it says that you can't create yourself are really true? No, I think that maybe our bodies can create things which they, like essential amino acids or vitamin C, like dogs create their own vitamin C. But for whatever reason, humans don't. But I think that that's actually a product of damage within our bodies, it's an ailment to not be doing those things more than our actual like set physiology. Like, I just think that it's something that we got to train ourselves and learn to do. And sometimes you have to take kind of like a reversed thought process of everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, the body's very good at balancing, right? Like if you want to like produce acid in your stomach, then you eat something alkaline. If you want to, alkalize your stomach, you eat something acidic. You know what I'm saying? Because your body will balance, and your body's more powerful than the thing that's you're putting into it. Like, this is your domain. You're making the rules here, right? So, in the same way, like, for example, back to the steroid thing, like a guy who took steroids and has completely, atrophied his testicles and is not producing testosterone anymore. Do you know how that they get them to produce again? Well, they inject them with something called human chondroitin hormone, or I'm pronouncing that wrong, but anyways, basically they inject a hormone into them. There's an estrogen-based hormone, a female hormone, and not only that, but it's a female pregnancy hormone. It's a hormone that's produced by pregnancy, right? And so, oh shit, maybe my connection's getting bad, but it's a hormone produced by pregnancy, and your body senses this estrogen, this weird estrogen thing that it knows it's not supposed to have inside of it because you're a male. And so that tells your body, like, oh shit, we better produce some testosterone, like this is the 911. And all of a sudden it kickstarts the testicles, they drop back down, and they start producing testosterone again. So you increase your natural testosterone because you put an estrogen in your body. Do you know what I'm saying? In that case. Again, I'm not a medical professional. Nothing I say is intended as health advice. Any major changes you make to your lifestyle or any other aspect of your health, something you should check with a doctor with. And definitely nothing I say is recommended to be tried at home. But that being said, there's, is that going to work for everything or be everything? No, but you got to learn what is like that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, I don't know what to do to kick back on my natural production, but when I was I have activated those cannabinoids when I wasn't on cannabis. Like, I've literally done things where and I think it actually comes from inside the sinus or something, because I've had experiences when I was completely sober, specifically when I was fasting, where I had some kind of soreness up in my sinus cavity, and I hawked something down, and when I did that and swallowed it, I got high as, you know what I'm saying, to the point it's almost was a small mushroom trip. So a microdose on a mushroom or something, right? And that was completely sober and fasting and off coffee and everything. I was drinking cacao at the time, so I don't know it definitely wasn't the cacao, because I've drinking cacao other times, but I do think that there's a possibility that something in the cacao is maybe, I don't know. Like I've considered, and again, I do not, definitely do not recommend the consumption of lead, but, you know, I've considered with the cacao thing, for example, you know, you see the label on the cacao, even if it's totally organic or whatever, that'll say like this is a high lead product, heavy metals, you know, depending on the soil that it's in. It's a naturally occurring thing. The Gnostic stuff, and you know, spiritual alchemy, internal alchemy. They talk a lot about turning base metals into gold, turning lead into gold, right? And so, you know, there's also talks about mercury and other types of heavy metals, things that, you know, not really good to consume, but perhaps, you know, like if you also look at like homeopathic medicines, a lot of them contain very, very, very small amounts of mercury and things like that. So there's something to that. I don't know what it is. I don't recommend that anyone else experiment with all that, but that's leave that to Daddy Bruce over here, because I'm working on it. And if I ever get some kind of definitive answer for you guys, I'll be happy to share it. But for sure, you don't want to be addicted to anything. And weed is definitely, you know, you're artificially stimulating your third eye, and that's shutting down your natural production. And your natural production is going to be way, way, way stronger than any kind of anything that you could smoke. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you're like smoking concentrated THC and stuff, you're still gonna smoke it. A little bit's gonna get into your lungs, and the rest is gonna blow out, right? Well, if your brain releases some pure THC, or not, maybe a human specific, I want to scroll all the way to the, use it as like a ritual or something. I think that there's like, it's definitely a thing. And it also brings churches verse super plane. And that was, sorry guys, the connection's being weird. But I had pointed out that what I seen on both the Catholic and the Orthodox churches looked tremendously, fuck. All right, one second guys, I'm gonna go back to the Wi-Fi real quick, because I got a little bit of a charge. We're gonna have to wrap this up, I guess. Okay. I think I got the connection back, you guys. Okay. I think I got the connection back, you guys. I might have to cut the stream a little bit short. So anyways, I was mentioned that what I've seen is that they reminded me of a yantra, which is like there's a bunch of different types of them. There's a symbol that people meditate on in yoga and Buddhism and things like that. And it's kind of like it's like a type of a tantra kind of, but it's like for visualization. It's like something you can stare at that will induce like a natural kind of, you know, if you stare at it long enough, like the things will like start moving and stuff, and like it'll kind of bring you into like a trance. And that goes hand in hand with another theory that I have. You know, when you look at like the old cathedrals, especially like going back to the Catholic thing, but I have no doubt that this is employed in other kind of temples and stuff as well. What you'll notice is that there's a lot of like cymatic patterns, and usually like the big vaulted ceilings, and they have very specific shapes, and those shapes, you know, there's also organs and, you know, these vibration, right? And the vibration is reverberating through the building in a very specific way, but, you know, due to the shape of the building, it's bouncing back onto people. You know, they're feeling the vibration is going through their body. They're probably looking up at the artwork is this circular big mess of things that's super busy, and a lot of stuff's going on. And this combination of things is a tantra. Okay, like tantra means to weave. It's not just like sex can be a type of a tantra. It's, you know, to distract the mind from thoughts and so on and so forth. But to weave is like you're doing multiple things at once. You're keeping the mind busy in a repetitive state of doing different things repetitively, and that brings you into like a trance state, right? A transcendental state. And so my theory is that the reason why the cathedrals and all the things are shaped the way that they're shaped, and they got the organs and like the sound and stuff going in through it like it's going through, and they got the yantras on the ceiling and all that, is because they are trying to, without telling you what they're doing, put you into like a tantric state, right? So that you have a spiritual awakening or spiritual experience or like a deep meditative transcendental state while you're in church or temple, and while you're looking at these images of angels and gods and things that you associate with that religion. So in doing that, like, you know, if you had that experience while you're walking in nature or earth, and you're looking at the earth, and suddenly you merge into the earth and become part of everything through the earth, right? What are you gonna think of as God? You're gonna think of the earth, right? Well, what are you going to think of if you're in church staring at a ceiling full of angels and all this stuff, and there's organs playing and vibrating through your body, and suddenly you bring on this transcendental state? You're going to be like totally loyal to the church for all the time. You're going to be like, God is real, angels are real, like church did this for me. You're going to forever give them credit for that. And so, while it's great to wake up spiritually no matter how you do it, it's just that it's a little bit misleading, I think, for them to do like that. Now, if you were conscious that they were trying to make that happen or do that, would it still work? Probably not. So maybe it is a good thing. I don't know. But that's just my thought of it. And I told Noi that I would answer that. So I wanted to answer it. Now, I'm super cold. I'm running out of battery. And I can't seem to get a connection from my car seat, so this might actually be the end of the stream. I'm gonna do a quick scan through. Alan's taking the advice with the no curtains. Noy says what's the most risky things that you've taken in my life? Most risky thing I've taken in my life? I guess it'd probably go into the porn industry. I mean, putting yourself on the internet's a forever thing. You definitely want to do a good job. You don't want to go out there and do poorly. Or at least if you ever do have a bad day, you want to make sure it's watered down by 1,000 good days. You know, so yeah, there's that. That's probably the biggest risk in my life. But it worked out, you know. Raphael says, did you ever win so big in a casino that they refused to pay you out? No, they never refused to pay me out. I always got paid, but I have actually had them ask me to leave. And it was literally from playing craps. Usually if they ask you to leave, it's because you're counting cards or something. But I'm the only person I know that's ever been asked to leave from a craps table. In a casino type environment, you want to be a time bender. Yes, you want to be a time bender in the casino for sure. It's good to see you as well, Anna, Ellen. Brenda Angelia says, it's my favorite when you say, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, shit, you must love it because it's like such a bad habit. I say it like 100 times every time. Every time I rewatch my stream, I'm like, yes, I know what you're saying. But you fucker. I can't stop. Sorry. That's like honestly a leftover habit from prison. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, you live in Vegas? Wow, I've been there. I was just there for the last 3 weeks or so, since Christmas until, I don't know, a few days ago. Until the 9th. From Christmas till the 9th, I was there. Or from Christmas Eve till the 9th, I was there. Zana says, you always carry those deer to you with you no matter how long they're gone. That's true. That's absolutely true. Because, here's the thing is, our higher self stays, above. And yeah, okay, it sends copies of itself down here, but when it first sends it down, like, it's pretty much helpless to do anything for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's working its magic as well as it can, but it's got its own game, its own limitations, and its own game and limitations is a lot about connecting with you. You know what I'm saying? But you don't know that you're trying to connect with something else when you're fresh out the womb. So, it's like a whole thing to that. But even if they reincarnate, even if they're back here again in that form, the higher self is there and remembers everything it's been there. It was there before. It's going to be there after. It watched the whole thing. It watched everything from the beginning to the end. It didn't forget nothing. So it's there for you always. Yeah, the door-to-door salesman rapist tried to strike, and we had to get the dog. You've never been on an airplane? Oh wow. You know what? My brother-in-law's never been on an airplane either. It's interesting. I've been on literally hundreds of flights. I mean, if I include layovers, like it's like a flight with a layover is like 2 flights. It's actually even more than that. 28 degrees. How many degrees while you sleep? Your room at night is, well, we live outside, so if it's 28 outside, it's 28 inside too. No, I've been trying to up my insulation game, but it's still got some work to be done. But yeah, last night, I mean, it's more than 28 right now, but I'm still cold. But last night I was like cold even under like multiple blankets. I should have just brought the dog in the bed. I would have been fine, but it's it's been a while since Sam had a bath, so. Oh no. Okay, the connection's back. It's literally the best. You know what I'm saying? Oh, much love to you, Angelia. Ellen Simons, you missed me as well. Well, we made it to the bottom of the chat, so I'm so happy that we had a good stream. I hope that the lag didn't mess it up too much. Hopefully the recording is still useful, because I know that during that lagging time, it was for sure some good mentions, but if it does get butchered, I will happily talk about the cannabis thing, the cannabinoid system, and other caveats of purification on another stream. If you notice, I have scheduled multiple streams upcoming. Those topics may change, but until if that happens, it will be just because I'm not in the mood for it at the time. As of now, those will be the plan. But we stay flexible. And anyways, much love to you guys. Thank you for coming. It was so good to see you all. This group was honestly amazing. I hope that everybody, I know that most of you are in the Telegram group, but please join us for further conversation there. And I will see you Wednesday, and potentially, make sure your notifications are on YouTube, and for the live stream notification section of Telegram. And if I'm supercharged and feeling it, or something happens I want to talk about, I will pop on in the meantime. I won't wait for Wednesday. So we're gonna lock those Wednesdays in at 10, and then maybe we'll add in a couple streams here and there when we're really feeling it. Anyways, much love, you guys. Until next time, adios.